So welcome one and all to our information session for the rapidly approaching Waterloo FRC event happening late next week. We'll begin in just under a minute here. A few more coaches and mentors are joining us. So let us begin. We're getting a rapid growth of participants on the call. So my name is William Neal. I'm the FRC Program Manager. And with us this evening, we have several other FRC co-workers of mine. And we have Arti Javeri, who's the Vice President of Marketing Promotions, and Karthik Kanagasabapathy, who's taking on many roles in FIRST. And on this upcoming weekend, he'll be the MC at Waterloo. And we have Lisa Ramraj, who's on the call as the FDC Program Manager, but for the upcoming event, will be helping us with some of our COVID protocols. And then we have Christine, who not only is a co-worker at FIRST, but also has a team, the 4476 Waffles, participating in the Waterloo weekend. So very happy to have everyone here on the call this evening, and looking forward to meeting you all in Waterloo. We'll just give a very brief slideshow. Some of you may know some of this information, but there are some interesting points to highlight as the load-in.
Increase the numbers.
The load-in process for the upcoming Waterloo competition will be different than in previous years. So some of the details you may want to note as we go through our presentation this evening. And there are a few other things to consider in light of our rather unusual season. So here's our Ontario District University of Waterloo event, hopefully taking place on the 25th and 26th. We've changed the dates on a lot of these. So sometimes we've had a few.
To a call, so that's all right.
I've had a few of these slip by. Our dates have changed here and there in our documents. I'm going to turn it over to Karthik, who will help us with our.
Hi, can we make an order for takeout, please?
Sure, what's your name?
Well, we're also getting James's takeout order on here. Well.
Yes, I would have to stop sharing my screen to do a mute. Maybe
no, it's all good, William. It's all good.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. William, if you just want to take that dialogue off.
Sure.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for, first of all, thank you for making it through this season. We know there's been an enormous amount of challenges along the way, and we're just so incredibly impressed by all of you, that the amount of work that you've done to make this possible for the students. And we at FIRST Canada have been working behind the scenes frantically to put together the best possible event experience for teams. And we held our first of our single day events at Humber a couple weeks ago. And we learned a lot from that event, and we're going to be implementing some new things here. But I think first and foremost, we do feel comfortable that we've found a way to make these events happen safely. And that's been the number one challenge in all of this. We all love FIRST, we all love robots, we all love the excitement, but we had to find a way to make these events safe. And so our two biggest pieces to ensuring our events are safe, well, I guess there's three pieces. Number one, vaccination. Number two, masks. And number three, limiting close contacts by limiting capacity at the event. So there's probably a lot of questions that you're getting. I know we are getting them, saying, well, the province has repealed vaccine mandates and the province is repealing mask mandates on March 21st. But as an organization that's independent, we can set our own guidelines. And so we've been working in concert with our venues, in this case, the University of Waterloo. And so FIRST Canada will be holding our vaccination and masking policy for the rest of the season. That's happening no matter what. And even if we wanted to back away, the University of Waterloo and all the universities in Ontario also are holding their vaccine and mask mandates until the end of the semester, which is coincidentally around the same time as the end of the season. So everyone who's going to be attending this event must be fully vaccinated. And you need to provide proof with an electronic or paper version of the enhanced vaccine certificate with QR code. So this is one that a few people missed at Humber. They just had the old vaccine certificate without the QR code, but we cannot admit if you don't have the QR code. So Lisa, I'm going to ask you to, if you can in a moment, drop a link in chat to where people can download the vaccine certificate. And there was a lot of people who came without vaccine certificates, and we worked with them to have them download it on site, but we prefer, it slows the entire process down and causes a bit of a backlog. So for all your students, I think it would be incumbent on every mentor to check to make sure they all have the QR code before coming. You're also, everyone will need to prove some identification to prove that vaccine certificate belongs to them. However, it does not need to be photo ID. We know that lots of young people don't necessarily carry their photo ID with them. So it just needs to have some proof of name and date of birth. Also, original copies are not required. So if parents want to send photocopies of anything with their child or download it to their phone, that's totally fine. We'll be a little, we can be flexible in that pace, but we cannot be flexible with the QR code. Masks are required at all times at the events, except when you were in designated eating areas, or if you were taking a quick sip of a drink while there's no one within 2 meters of you. And we had what I would say was probably like 99.8% compliance at Humber. I was incredibly proud of our community, how, everyone was working to take care of each other. And it shouldn't surprise anyone because that's the mantra of gracious professionalism. A lot of people use gracious professionalism to mean a lot of different things, but I've always thought of it as, doing what's best for those around us. And so we are expected to have the same degrees of compliance as well. So those are our big safety pieces.
It was awesome.
As you know, you've had emails sent out asking for team lists, so you can, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later on, but I really want to stress this one, especially for the Waterloo event, because it's a very popular event. People are always excited about it. And there's always, alumni who'll be like, oh yeah, I'll just show up and I'll see you at the event, which normally we'd be like, yes, please just show up. We'll see you at the event. We love that. Except that can't happen this year. All teams are restricted to an attendance capacity, team attendance capacity of 25 people. That's all the people you can bring. That includes your students, mentors, whatever parents you want to bring, it has to be within that 25. So if you have your alumni who go to the University of Waterloo and just want to show up, they would have to be on that list. Otherwise, we can't let them in. And we don't want to have to turn people away at the door, but we will. So we really encourage you to just send out reminders, even to your students who have friends who probably are going to the University of Waterloo, to remind them, hey, we can't take visitors at this time. So I know there'll be a lot more things that'll be covered, but I see that Paul Dawson has a question, so I can take that.
Yeah, Karthik, thank you. On the expansion from the 15 people to 25, most of us that went off on March break were handing out permission forms because most of us were doing it through schools and school boards. So I sent a list of 25 people to go, knowing that I've only got 10 permission forms back at this point. They're all good as far as first goes, but this, it may be a truncated group of people that I bring who, if I don't get permission forms back from parents. So I just wanted to be, I'm sure that there's other people on here the call that are sort of in the same boat, but I know that if they cannot show up, can I alter that list to include somebody who may be a driver, who may not, or another mentor? Is that list going to be solid? That's the only people I'm allowed to bring, or can I alter it as per the permission that comes in?
I'm just going to call on my colleague Lisa Ramraj because she's been managing a lot of the attendance lists. And so, Lisa, do you want to speak to this?
Yeah, I can. So that is totally fine. If you, we really wanted to get the attendance list and everything cross-referenced early as soon as possible. We totally get that with March break being in the way that sometimes things might have to change. And we get that sometimes you might have a change the night before. So someone, I believe it'll be Christine who is going to be fielding the questions for Waterloo. I'll be doing York. So if you have any changes last minute, you can email Christine. And Christine, if you could drop your email in the chat, that would be perfect. And then she'll be able to keep the list updated. And at the door, let's say that you had a change the night before, and you're bringing a different student for whatever reason, we'll ask that when the student comes up to us and they'll say, oh, I'm replacing XY, this person, we'll ask that a mentor, like we will want to confirm with you that this is actually what's supposed to be happening. And then we'll be able to make that change right there. And then we'll cross-reference with the team roster a little bit later. But having it, even if you send it to us an hour before, like, you're on your bus, and like, so we can try to mitigate any stress at that registration process, because we know it can be totally stressful for kids. So yeah, you can make changes. We're just trying to streamline this process.
And
I
the system
appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you.
Paul, for the question. The system that Lisa set up is really streamlined. So we were able to make changes faster on the fly at Humber than I think we expected. So, it's, everyone's going to have a tablet. Our registration people all have tablets, so it'll propagate. If we update in one place, it'll propagate to the others. So
Yeah. So ideally, if you do have a student or like someone who's like switching on the day of, ideally you would, or whoever the lead mentor is, some adult that's also on the list will come with them so they can confirm right there before we have to like wait for you. Because sometimes at Humber, we had like mentors that were already checked in and the kids come, so we had to like corral them. So that's the only other thing.
And the other piece is that while we can make changes prior to the event, once someone's checked in, they are getting a permanent wristband, and it is it's not reversible at that point, because we want to ensure that it's a static group of 25. Because some teams were like, oh, can I bring 12 for the first? Can I bring 25 for the first half of the day and 25 for the second half of the day? And that actually defeats the point of a lot of these protocols. We're going to be as flexible as we can be while still maintaining our degree of safety. So that's everything I have. Yeah.
I have a question. So everybody who attends, who's on our attendance list, needs to be on our roster. Is that true?
Yep.
So I have to roster every parent that wants to attend?
Yes.
Because we don't currently roster our parents.
Yeah, totally understand. And if some of you had been at Humber, I was mistaken thinking that you could add someone as specifically a parent. So any adults that are coming would have to be added as a mentor. If you are having trouble adding them, we can send you, we're in the process of cross-referencing the Waterloo lists. So you'll probably get an email later this weekend or early next week. So in the event that a parent cannot fill out the electronic form, we'll have the paper copy that we can send to you. You can have them fill out and you can scan it back to us prior to the event. So that we have all of the consent forms and everything in one place. Like the main reason that everyone from the attendance list has to be on the roster is so that we can confirm that we have their contact information and their consent form signed. Does that answer?
It does. I just not a big fan of registering all of our parents as mentors on the team, right?
Yeah.
Because next year we boot them from our mentor list, right? And they get these nice emails from First that says you've been de-roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
Removed.
Yeah.
All right. A question in chat from Michelle. Is there a way to upload our team QR passports prior to the event? Lisa, I don't believe Waterloo has that, because at Humber, there was that capability because of the way Humber College tracks vaccinations, but at least I don't believe Waterloo has a system like that.
I do not believe Waterloo has a system like that as well. I will confirm during this meeting, but yeah.
I believe Waterloo has that for people who are registered students at the school, but not for guests to campus like we all are.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all I have at this time on COVID. So I'm going to pass it back to William to go through more of the event specific details.
Thank you very much, Karthik and Lisa and everyone. And we'll go to just a little overview of our discussion this evening. The items we'll discuss pertaining to prior to the event, the capacity and team roster, we've already been referring to those, the judging schedule, virtual drivers meeting, and the match schedule. And then our processes for at the event registration and load in, practice field and machine shop, team lunches and quiet room. So that's what we can anticipate here in our discussion. The capacity limit is indeed 25 members. There was an email that snuck out that had 2 references to the number of team members, one of which was still at 20, as that had been an interim number that we were anticipating. 25 was the final number, so indeed you are allowed to take 25 members. and we discussed the wristband process a few minutes ago. Now, where do you get your wristband? At Humber College, we found that due to habit, the teams loaded in and arrived much as they had done in previous years. And like with Humber, there's a different entrance and process for arriving at the venue to do your load in. And so we'll pay attention to that. The parking is also different this year. Lots M and N have been used for free in previous years, and now they are paid. Cars only, no trucks or trailers. And lots Z and W, which are just across Columbia Street from the university, are free for all types of vehicles. But they have mentioned to us that you must park correctly to avoid a ticket, as that is a distinct possibility. The entry points are only two. The PAC box office doors, which are on the far side of the PAC, the Physical Activity Center, from the ring road. So you have to walk in a little and enter through the PAC box office doors. That's where we'll be processing vaccination and COVID-related documentation and handing out the wristbands. And then the robot load-in is a temporary entry point only for load-in. The judging has been done remotely this year. A first round of judging happened in February for all events, and now next week, we'll see on March 21st and 22nd, we'll have our pit interviews. And then awards will be done remotely subsequent to the event on March 29th. And you may tune into twitch.tv/FirstCanada to join the awards show. There will be a virtual drivers meeting, and that will happen on Wednesday, March 23rd at 6 p.m. And that meeting will be headed up by our FTA head referee and lead robot inspector. And they will be there to answer your questions and prepare all the teams for the event virtually. A good reminder to complete your robot inspection forms prior to the event, as this streamlines the process of getting fully inspected at the event. Our match schedule, you may note, especially if you were at Humber, our schedule has changed a little further to reflection on the games at Humber. And you will note one of the key differences is an extended lunch break, as our shortened breaks had been designed to allow teams a quick meal and a chance to fix their robot on several occasions during the day. That simply, because of the shortened schedule, we went with a longer lunch and no other breaks, so that the teams will have a chance to fix their robot and or have lunch about halfway through the competition. And that's the rationale behind the match schedule. We got behind on the competition a little bit because of the very rapid turnarounds, but this schedule is designed to keep us on time. We were that far behind, but this one's designed to help us to keep on schedule, basically, and allow teams that extended lunch break so that they get a little bit of a break in the middle of the day. Was there a comment there from?
Yeah, William, I just wanted to add, the biggest change of the schedule is that we're doing single day events, and that is brand new. Traditionally, we would have, a multiple day event. So maybe we could spend some time for those who haven't seen an event this year or haven't, to talk about what happens in a single day event. And that basically means that your normal district schedule of 2 days has been compressed into one. So there's a lot of things to take into account for that. Number one is that you won't have as much time to get your robot inspected before the first match. So you're going to have teams need to come as ready as possible. Number two, the matches are going to come fast and furiously because there's only 18 teams at this event. And if you think about it, we only have 6 teams on the field at any given time. And that means that you could be playing really quick turnarounds, and the turnarounds will even allow for back-to-back matches this year. So you could play in match number 3 and play in match number 4. Things we noticed about this at Humber is that teams should be very cognizant of how long it takes to switch from red bumpers to blue bumpers and vice versa, because that was a struggle for some teams. The other big piece to consider is that alliance selection is happening on the same day as the start of the event. So there's not really much of a break in there before alliance selection. So your teams, before it was kind of like, on Friday, we don't need to worry about the pick list right now. We're just going to we're going to talk Friday night. We're going to come up with it and we'll be ready for Saturday. That's not really a thing this year. You need to be thinking about your pick list right away. And as we talk more about alliance selection in a second, we'll talk about the importance of all of that, but just beware that things happen really quickly throughout the day.
That's great. Thank you very much, Karthik. So to elaborate a little bit on our new schedule, I don't know if anyone else would like to speak to this. Whoops. Notification of a meeting.
I'm happy, William, to
Go ahead.
talk about it. So normally at an event, we say it's lunchtime, go. And people just go find their way around and they have lunch, or they grab lunch and they eat in the stands. This year, due to our COVID protocols, lunch, you're only allowed to eat in designated eating spaces. This is to ensure mask compliance in as many areas as possible. And so we're like, okay, we're going to give teams eating spaces. But at the University of Waterloo this year, we do not have a huge amount of eating spaces. So we have one spot that can accommodate about 6 teams at a time. So that's why we're doing designated lunch times. So this doesn't mean that you only have 30 minutes for lunch. You still, the lunch break is an hour and a half, but you will have 30 minutes of guaranteed access to the designated eating area. Now, in that 1 hour and a half, you could go off campus to eat, you could eat outside, you could try and find space at the Student Life Center. That will be a good option for teams who are competing on day 2, which is a Saturday. Those who are competing on day 1, which is a Friday, the Student Life Center. Good luck trying to find a spot in there. So teams will have a designated slot in the lunch area, whether it be slot A, slot B, or slot C, and that will persist for 30 minutes. So this is a little bit different than what we're used to. I know most teams in the past would grab food and then continue to eat in the stands, and that's where you would eat. But this year, to ensure that we can stay safe at all times, to maximize safety rather at all times, we're going to have this lunch schedule. So this was brought up, at least I believe, random number generators to do it all. And it'll also mirror the team seating arrangements that'll be done in the stands. So cohorts are sort of together.
As much as possible.
Yeah, which also helps us after the fact in case of a positive test for contact tracing.
There's a question in chat.
What happens if we run late into lunch? So the plan for this is that we will, no matter when we start lunch, we're going to commit to having 90 minutes of period there. And the goal is that to start lunch as close to 12 o'clock as possible, whether it's 12:05 or 12:10, then we'll adjust from there.
Well, thank you, Karthik and Lisa. Here's our lunch schedule, and you will get, if you don't note it down now, I'm sure you'll be able to find out on the day where to go and when to go there. The alliance selection, Karthik will also speak to this.
Yeah, I was talking about this a little bit earlier. So another difference is that, we're very used to the format of having 8 alliances. We only have 18 teams, so that's obviously not going to be happening at this event. So we'll be having 4 alliances of 3. So this means alliance selection will move a little bit faster. And for those of you who've never done alliance selection before, number one, I really, really recommend you read the game manual section on alliance selection. I don't want to go through the full details of exactly how alliance selection works, but if you are within the top 8 teams, you should be prepared to be, well, top 7 technically, but 8 for an extra to be a captain. And you're not going to necessarily know because the seedings can fluctuate greatly when you only have 18 teams at an event. You might be, with 2 matches left, you might be the 14th seed, and then you might pop up to the 7th seed, and then you might end up being the 4 captain very easily. So it is crucial that everyone has a pick list and is prepared. And even if you're not one of those top 7 teams and you're thinking, oh, well, I probably won't need to pick, but you might have a captain who picks you with their first pick and then isn't prepared to do the second pick. So it's essential that everyone has a pick list for this process. And I understand building a robot is an incredibly complicated process, and folks have been really knee deep in that stuff. But now is a good time to spend some time at your next meeting with your students going over a line selection, how it all works.
Great, thank you, Karthik. We'll continue on. Our registration and load in, here's a map, and it may have been sent to you by email. There are a few things here you can note. There is a QR code download link, and I'm sure this will get sent out and be available on our website and in emails. For load in, we discussed the PAC box office doors, and as you note, they're on the far side of the PAC from the ring road. So if you drop off students here, they may be able to walk somehow through this building and into these doors here. And then the cars or trucks waiting to do load in can accumulate here. And when the students have obtained their wristbands and come through the venue to the load in doors, then the drivers may go into the parking lot. They should do this as directed by any staff or UWO security, for example, to ensure that traffic continues flowing in the ring road, but B, to make sure that we don't have any congestion in the little parking lot. There won't be enough room for everyone to load in and out at the same time, so we'll do it one at a time, and have a small lineup here on the ring road. Luckily, the teams are spread out, and at most we should have about 3 teams loading in and out at the same time. So you may want to arrive a little bit before your load-in time so that your team members may get their wristbands and come through the building.
William, I just want to add that
Yes.
no one should expect to be able to walk through the building to get their wristbands, because I
Yeah.
don't believe that access will be granted to anyone without a wristband. So
Yeah, the PAC itself, you can't walk through. I think you have to either walk around or somehow make your way there, whichever way is available. Yes. I was kind of, anyway, don't expect to walk through. You may be able to get through here or there, but definitely you won't be able to get into the PAC itself without being scanned.
Well, I have a quick question
Yeah,
regarding the wristbands and the driver. So the driver has to stay with the vehicle.
yes.
Does he require a wristband to be there?
No, the driver does not need to go and get a wristband, and the driver should just stay with the vehicle. And 5 other people may offload at the PAC.
Okay, I just want to make sure he wasn't being counted as part of the 5.
No.
William, a couple of
Yes.
questions from chat. From Michelle. There's a little store in the Student Life Center. Do you know if it is open or if there are pop machines available? Michelle, I do believe the Student Life Center is back at full operating capacity, so the stores should be open, but I don't necessarily know that the food court is.
We have been informed specifically that on Friday, the stores and food venues are open, but on Saturday they are not.
There you go.
So that's just a little detail for the teams to reflect upon.
William,
Yes.
we are our team, and I believe Beal will be coming from London. Both are in school buses.
Yes.
Is there enough room for school buses to turn around in that parking lot, or should we, because we're not carrying what would normally be a 2-day event worth of pit equipment?
Yes.
It's a very truncated version of that
Yeah.
much smaller version. Should we unload that stuff at the ring road so the bus can continue on, or we have to be unloaded inside that parking lot?
As far as I can tell, that's going to be a big enough parking lot. I've taken a look on Google Earth. It's not to scale there. If it isn't, I will send you a message, but as far as I can see, it's got sufficient room to sort of pull in and then do a backwards and forward, sort of a 3-point turn with a school bus. But
Yeah.
for that to happen, it'll have to be clear of the other load-in vehicles at that time.
Yeah, okay. It's just we'll be prepared to do either or.
Yeah.
So
And we will probably direct you if there is an issue. We'll have someone perhaps around the ring road at this part here to just advise teams about the progress of the load in and the particular details to consider.
Yeah,
So
and I think
we'll
for
work that
folks who are coming with a school bus, I would be prepared to offload before you get into the parking lot, because that gets really tight. So it depends on the size of your school bus. I know they come in different sizes, but
Big enough to carry 25 kids and a pit's worth of equipment.
yeah, I think that's more likely to offload. It would be a challenge. I know. Yeah,
All right, thank you.
no
thank
problem.
you very much.
Another question from chat, and keep the questions coming, folks. That's the whole point of this session. Do we have a fast lane for those 5 folks to get checked in and wristbands prior to load-in time? And then going along with that, what if our driver has to be part of the 5 folks doing load-in? Lisa?
I can take the first part. So there will be like a identified place for the 5 people to go in. So, and we'll try to have a staff member outside that kind of like calls through the line to be like, oh, are you here for load in? That's kind of it's more of an issue when you load in the day of. If you're loading in the day before you play, then you're totally fine. You're the only ones loading in. So just note, if you're loading in on the day that you are playing, you can come to the front of the line. There will be signs, there will be signage up to say like you should come forward and come first. And the other part, I'm going to
Second part of the question, what if our driver has to be part of the 5 folks doing the load-in? I don't know, one of the staff members wants to touch that. Hardy was nodding her head, no?
Yeah, I think, so sorry for the response on the driver has to be part of the 5 folks. So we'll have staff outside as well, like kind of walking just to make sure that we can address that and bring the driver in quickly, get their wristband, and they can go out back on the truck. You like it's like that area where you're going to be coming in at the pack center is William. It's outside. Like William's going to check on the parking spot there, but we will be checking definitely to make sure if you're the driver, how you can come in quickly, get your wristband, get out, and get back into the car.
Great, thank you very much. And we will continue. And some great questions, and hopefully we'll have the process go as smoothly as possible. So just a little note for the parking. Those are some of the lots that have been used in previous years. This year, they're only available for cars and by pay. Lots W and X are just across the road there. Those are the ones that all vehicles are allowed in. In fact, that's the only place for buses or trucks or trailers, things like that, lot W and X. And both of these are free for the duration of the event. Practice field timings. There's a little bit of a peculiarity about the schedule. You'll note that on Friday and Saturday, if you're competing on Friday, it's open to you from 7:15 till 6 p.m. and likewise on Saturday. However, if you're competing on both days, then you have 2 hours extra from 6:30 to 8:30. And there are 4 teams in that category competing on both days of this event or these events. The machine shop timing is listed here. At Humber, the machine shop was quite a hike across the college. At Waterloo, the machine shop will be in the big room with the pits and will be a little more accessible. So those are the machine shop timings, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and only for that hour during which your team is allowed to be there. And Friday, all day, Saturday, all day, and the machine shop. So the overall schedule, starting next week, we have events leading up to the 2 event days. The pit interviews on Monday and Tuesday, the virtual drivers meeting, which was on Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. There's load-in starting on Thursday evening, and then the 2 events are on Friday and Saturday, as illustrated in this slide. Any questions, you may post them in the chat or speak up. And then team spaces. Our lunch area has been mentioned is on a balcony above the bleachers. It's actually the space where the extended bleachers go, but when open, it's about 100 feet by 33 feet or so. And that's where we'll set up lunch tables assigned for teams in groups of 6 for half-hour sections of the lunch hour. There's a quiet room. It's in room 1005. That's also accessible to members of teams, and it will be supervised. Some reminders, the eating is restricted only to this balcony above the bleachers or outside the PAC. And we don't allow buffet warmers, crock pots, barbecues, things like this in the team spaces or elsewhere. Then just a few general reminders there. Of course, everyone practices gracious professionalism. That's what makes our community so special. And there's a Slack group available. If you're not part of the Slack, perhaps someone may post the link, as I won't get into that here as I'm making the presentation. The Slack support group will help you with other questions. And that concludes the planned part of our presentation this evening. And of course, there are some great questions generated. Perhaps there are some more questions that you may have, and we're happy to take those now. I'll stop my sharing.
Either ask just by unmuting, or you can post in the chat. And if there aren't any questions, I just want to say, good luck to everyone. I know it's teams are still frantically working away on their robots, making either finishing their robots or upgrades to their robots. And so it's, we're just really excited to be back. And the Waterloo event is always a special one. Questions in chat. Can we bring in pizza? Someone
Glad to answer that. We've had extended conversations with venues, and any venues that have food services tend to have a certain sensitivity about outside food coming in, and Waterloo is no exception. And so the answer to that is teams are free to bring their own food to the event, but they're not allowed to have outside food delivered by a delivery company or a pizza company, for example. So during your 1.5 hours, you can go and get food, and you can bring food back with you to your pit during that half hour, but you may not accept delivery from outside.
And not to your pit, and not to your pit, to the designated.
Yeah, it's
area.
only in the designated eating area. Yes. I see there's a question from Paul.
Yeah, I just actually want to make a quick comment. I placed the order for our team through the University of Waterloo link that was sent out.
Yeah.
And we increased from 15 to 25, and we ordered just the sandwiches and stuff because we actually had a parent who wanted to pay for that.
Excellent.
So that was, they contacted me and they were super, super accommodating. I don't know if anybody else has done it, but they were really good to us. So we've ordered our meals. I'm paying for it tomorrow with my expense account. And they also gave anybody the option, if they wanted to bring a check to the event, they would take the money at that point. So it seems like they're being accommodating for any of the groups who are bringing food in. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you very much, Paul. That's great feedback from our food services. Yeah, they're very cooperative, and we've had a great time working with them. They're just working through their own framework of regulations, and everything is going fine so far.
Question from chat. When can we expect the match schedule? Sorry, this is answered before. Don't need to apologize for asking a good question. The match schedule will be available once all teams for the event have checked in, or there's awareness that they're all coming. And I think that's typically expected, between 8:15, 8:30-ish range prior to the start of practice matches. All right, William, any closing words? Seems like we're question free.
Well, it's really been a great pleasure to meet everyone so far this year. We had a great time at Humber. We're really looking forward to our weekend at Waterloo, some incredible robots and some incredible community members coming together for quite a celebration, as this is the first time that we're now having live events in quite some time, and really looking forward to it. I see Lisa has a hand up though.
Hi, just wanted to echo something really quickly that I've been posting in chat, and I'll post one more time for right now. We have a web page for the Waterloo event, so all information is going to be up there. Any changes that are made are going to be on this site. We have everything from event logistics to check-in information. And if going back to that question about the check-in and uploading vaccination stuff, I'm going to look into that again tonight, and any updates will be posted on that webpage, and it'll go out in the program update tomorrow, so you'll be able to see it there as well. So yeah, that's the place to go for info.
Great, thank you very much. And thank you to everyone who attended our call, and glad to answer any more questions you may have by phone or email. Hope everyone has a great evening, and until very soon.
Thank you, William. Thank you, everybody.
All the best to everyone.
Thank you.
A week. Water, water, water.
I was muted. Lou.
There we go.
I did it right when you said it too.
I have one more question, actually.
Yeah.
I